Turn it around.
Yeah.
No.
No. You can please. That's fine. Please, just stand right here. Just keep that spot this way.
Oh, you want me to talk to them?
Yeah. No, you're speaking to the presiding officer.
Oh, okay, thank you. Aloha, everyone who has joined here for this very important matter. My name is Gene Weaver. I've been a resident of the state of Hawaii since 1978. I've been on Maui some 30 years, and I've played an active role in many community things involving our community. First of all, I am so thankful for all the years that Akaku has served me in my life here, and I watch it daily. And I've also taken part in their programs on learning how to do video. They provide coverage for county council meetings, board and commission meetings, radio shows, studio shows, virtual meetings, PSA, election, and community results. They provide so much for our community. Now, when this person says Akaku type channels, this is not what I want. I am here to support Akaku. And if something is interfering with the money they get so that they don't have to struggle to bring us their service, then this is important to me. Now, I'm not the kind of person that comes down and speaks in front of public people. So this shows you how important this is for me that I'm here today speaking. So I'm asking that this board continues to support the funding for Akaku, and we continue to have the service that we have had for so many years that is so important to me. That's really, in a nutshell, what I have to say. So I want to thank you all for considering me and my needs. I do watch Akaku every single day, Monday through Friday. So thank you. Please continue to support Akaku.
All right. Thank you. Okay, next speaker is Dreaming Bear. Yep. Oh.
Would you want to come out here or should I bring?
Aloha, Maui family. A lot of beautiful Maui family. Been here for a long time. I've been here for 25 years. And I can honestly say that when I first came to Maui, what really struck me was the unique voice, the unique representation of humanity and culture as expressed by Akaku. Just the fact that we had a place like this on island that could express an independent voice for the Maui family, the Maui community. This is a place where you really get a sense of the culture of Maui, of the people who inhabit this island, the amazing beautifulness that we represent. And I think that if we stop the funding, if we even reduce the funding, which to me is already so little, 3% sounds like a lot, but it's really a little bit, that we would be taking something essential away from Maui that embodies the spirit of aloha that we represent as a community. Maui is not only, Maui is one of the only places left in the world, really, in America, where you can go and get this kind of real community access. Like right now, people are tuning in to us somewhere at their home, and they're hearing the voice of real Mauians. We may not have that if we let go of this situation. I understand that there's also this push to charge more for HD. What is that about? You can get HD for free on YouTube. Why charge a charity more to do a job that represents the community? Not only the media that you see on the TV, but also the radio station. Every year, the political coverage of local events, local happenings. This is the heart and soul of Maui. And so, as an advocate on behalf of Akaku, I would like to request that we continue the full funding of 3%. We grant them freedom to publish in HD without extra charges. And I think that this is crucial to the integrity of our voice as a community on Maui. So mahalo for hearing. Oh.
Great, thank you. Next speaker is Nalani Kaninau.
Aloha kako. This is from the DCCA website. It says the mission of the state of Hawaii DCCA is to protect Hawaii's consumers and serve
Recording in
consumers
progress.
and service its businesses community with respect and fairness to the interests of both. I Googled Chris Winfrey, CEO of Charter Communications, which includes Spectrum, had a total compensation package of $89 million in 2023. Akaku's budget and expenses are just a drop in the bucket to just his salary. I want to urge the DCCA to stop supporting the vulgar wealth and power of mega corporations and support Akaku, which plays an endless vital role in providing a voice for our community among all the other vital services they provide, including, training for some of these young people coming up to learn this media business. I think Spectrum has no interest in our community except for profit of its CEO and its shareholders while squeezing out the little guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Lance Holter.
Turn me good heart. Yeah, thank you for having this meeting here. My name is Lance Holter. I'm been a producer and I've had a television show in Akaku, I think since 1990. I'm a citizen, speaking as a citizen, but also as a member of the Akaku community. And one thing I wanted to talk about is that we as voters expect that we vote for our legislators, that we will have democracy and access to our legislators. But what I've been hearing is that Spectrum has been giving thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of individual campaign contributions to the legislators. And I've tried to go on the website. It's gotten difficult to navigate now. But I've understood that some of the checks are 1,000, maybe even like multiple checks. So I would like to find out and make it public what these campaign contributions are amounting to and who's receiving them, and subsequently what happens when I suppose that this franchise amendment will be going before the legislature. So I'm very concerned about that. I'm also very concerned that for $3 for each subscriber, that's all that is going to Akaku. Now, I pay a $260 a month bill to Spectrum. Out of that $260 a month, I can't even imagine that $3 would really amount to anything. But mostly what I don't understand is why Spectrum would want to move Akaku out of its channel production. And I also understand that this Exumo box is that Mrs. Lieberman said that it includes PEG, but I've also understood that it doesn't, that it excludes PEG. So that's something that's really important to me, is that this new box, we don't want to exclude public access. We want to include it, make it inclusive. Akaku provides many, many services. Amongst them is the best campaign election coverage in the state. There's nowhere where you can follow the campaign coverage like you can on Akaku. Now, I don't know what it's like in the other states, but it's the best. It's far better than all the ABC, CBS, whatever it is. And that's very important because that's what we as voters want. We want democracy, we want to be represented with our government. Now, I have a few other requests, and one of them is that the CEO of Akaku, Jay April, submitted a letter to the DCCA, and in it, he had 3 requests. In this new franchise agreement, Jay wants to guarantee a fully funded Akaku at 3% of the franchise fee for the duration of the renewal term. His second request is conduct transparent audits of INET infrastructure and franchise fees. I think what INET is it's why Spectrum wants to reduce the support of PEG is because they want to create their own services that most likely they're going to charge for. And I think that's not the spirit of what public access, democracy, and free speech is about. He requests that we ensure franchise renewal processes prioritize community needs and fairness over corporate interests. And that's where we're going back to. Akaku serves the community, it serves free speech, it serves our citizens' right to democracy and information, and this is essential in a community like ours that is goes all the way from Hana to other side of the mountains to Lahaina to Kihei, all over. And so the only way we can communicate, and we saw this during the fire, is through public access television. And then finally, we want to require that Spectrum broadcast Akaku channels in HDTV at no cost. And then, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to also submit for the record, this is the CEO Jay April's letter.
Okay, you submit at the table. Okay, next speaker is Rick Nava.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I am Rick Nava. I'm the Executive Director of the West Maui Taxpayer Association. It's very nice to see Senator McKelvey here, but as I look in the room, there's only 2 of us from Lahaina. That said, this is how important Akaku is to us in Lahaina. Like Mr. Halter had said earlier, the value of it is just more than just something that giving us all this information. My company, when I needed training for my employees to learn about video, photography, as well as digital imaging, Akaku came through for us on that. That in itself saved me a lot of money, and it enhanced my service to the community. The other thing is that I ran for office. Whenever I ran for office, unfortunately, I didn't get in, but Akaku is always there for us. Not only for the candidates, but also for the voters. They are very fair. They know what you're talking about. And during the election, if you need information about what's going on here in Maui, you can rely on Akaku to get it done for you. And every year with the West Maui Taxpayer Association, because as you all know, for us in Lahaina, seems like we live on another planet. Nobody wants to come to Lahaina. We have to come to you here all the time for us to get things done. But fortunately, with Akaku, they come to our annual meeting, and whenever we have our candidate night, they're there for us to educate also all the voters throughout Maui. And this is something that we really, really desperate need of. And it is my hope that we never have to have this type of hearing ever again when it comes to Akaku. Just look at this room right now. And the beauty about all of this is that, I don't know, the people of the County of Maui really knew about this meeting is happening today. I found out about it, Saturday or Friday afternoon, and I'm very active in the community. And so I'm looking at here, maybe if you knew more about it, maybe more people from Lahaina would have showed up, but I'm glad that we have it live streaming. But anyway, I appreciate the time to be here to you today, but again, hopefully this will never happen again because we, the people of the county of Maui, which is, the island of Maui, Molokai, and Lanai, we need Akaku, and we don't want anybody else from a big corporation telling us what we need to do here, especially when the same corporation that says that we're here for you, but when you call them up, you got a company answering for them that couldn't even pronounce Lahaina. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Kimokea Kapaholehoa.
The people of heaven. The boy Moana, the people of the ocean. The boy Kuno, the people of land. You can't speak today. All of them speak in behalf of that. The second part of the chat, take care of my heaven, take care of ocean, land. But you see, all the voices, we call it the voices of heaven, ocean, land, that each one of us bring to our kapu and tell them about the treasure that we have in Molokini, Ikaulani, Molokai, Lanai. We are the family of Maui will come. The deep secret meaning of Kapu for over 30 years. Let us come and call everybody and share this. Talk about our Loi, talk about our what, talk about everything. They've been doing this faithfully, honestly, and voluntarily. A lot of money being brought up. A couple never tells us about that. They just go, hey, man, you come to my house and you share your voices. And you share your voices about Kupuna. Today we don't have the voices of the heaven. Nobody can speak about the moon, the sun, the stars. They can speak about it. They spoke about it by making sure the wall economy, no more lights, so the wall economy don't get bang the walls and pick up in every wall. These are the guys who share the voices. These are the guys who share the voices of all of them, the Kuala, the shop, the third. You come over there and tell them, save our people of the ocean. You come over here and tell them, don't pollute our ocean. These are the voices here. You cannot let us not have a voice with a kapu. You cannot let that. You cannot let what we can tell our own people and how we're going to speak. It's within. It's within. The spirit of our people speak, and they only can speak because a kapu is able to tell our family a lot of stories. Yeah, he's right. They should show our kapu on spectrum and tell the whole world about Maui and New York. How are we going to say Molokini? How are we going to say Polano? Molokai, Lanai, and Maui. So, I'm here to tell you, the voices of our ancestors is be told only by a couple. Where were these people? 30 years, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. A couple is a resiliency. Our children are allowed to go there and learn how to video, how to learn how to stand there. As a Puna, 77 years old this Saturday. I'm so glad I come teaching my more Puna how to bring the future of our island and the richness of our island. One, know who we are, what we are doing, and where we're going with our islands. And they've been doing it over 30 years. And now you guys start us, oh, we're going to give one another guy this thing. We don't need to give one another guy, we're doing well. Why you want to fix something then if my canoe is broken, I don't fix them. If my car is broken, I don't fix them, I just go on. Well, a couple, not being broken with a couple we there all the time. They were there yesterday and today, and with the children they're teaching now, going to take us to 2,100. This is only 100 years or 50 years. Our resiliency, how we're going to preserve, perpetuate, educate, everything, 400 to 4,000 years forward. And Akaku will be our voice. And Akaku will be that message to everybody. I'm here to speak in behalf of Akaku. And I'm not here in respect of anything else but Akaku. Akaku has been on Ohana since then. Akaku will be on Ohana now, and Akaku will be on Ohana in the future. Look at the University of Hawaii. Look at King Charles, Kamehameha School. All the children have the right to go to Akaku and learn how to do that. Technology to children is brought by Akaku. You can go there, sign up, you will put up, and Akaku will teach you how to do that. So do that. Inclusive environment. Inclusive culture, all cultures. Inclusive health. Having ocean land. And how Akaku teaches our children in technology, research, and science development. But we need an economic advantage. We need their money to come to Akaku. And we need to keep that money in Akaku. They make more money. We have to have for the people who trying to cannot speak. Because at 11 o'clock, everybody working. So I want to know how all of you. In the Kukua, in the Akaku, in the Ohana Akaku, in the Leo Akaku, the voice of us. By Akaku. Mahalo.
Okay, thank you. The next speaker is Sandy Guanagni. Oh, do you want the microphone over there? That'd be easier.
I'm Sandy Gudani, and I live in Kihei. I've been on island for 32 years. Came here for my midlife crisis and decided to milk it. Akaku was unknown to me when I worked because I worked 12-hour shifts, 7A to 7P. Since retirement, I've really enjoyed following the news from Akaku for so many reasons. For the simple reason, basically, that it shares the community, shows the unity of the community throughout the whole island. This is a time when we are extremely vulnerable, post-COVID, post-fire, that we need to have the ability to express our opinions on a free platform. Why Akaku was kept analog when the rest of the island was made to go HD, I still don't understand. That access should have been in place all along, and it should not have cost Akaku a dime. $225,000 from Spectrum, that's a drop in the bucket to them. We know how big they are. We know what their CEO makes. But what we need is the island to stand together and to be recognizing that the community access media is essential to allow everyone to share their platform and to maintain the basic tenet of democracy. That's all I got to say.
All right, thank you. Next speaker is Jerry Isdale.
Aloha. I'm Jerry Isdale. I am the founder of the Maui Institute of Art and Technology and an instigator of the Maui Techies. I've lived here on Maui for 15 years, and I've been involved in the industry of film and television for most of my career. On the subject today, I would like to include by reference Jay April's letter and take it as my approval of what he is saying. I would also like to wonder, there has been, according to my understanding, no public hearing on these franchises in the last decade. It's been over a year, over a decade since the last one. There is absolutely nothing in the last 10 years on this state-run institutional network. There is nothing you can find after 2008 that mentions it on the web. This utter lack of transparency is kind of appalling to me. I would like to see you, sir, publish more on what this system is and what it is supposed to be doing. Why we cannot have more information about it, I don't know. It kind of fits in with a lot of what the state does anyways. Given the changes in the internet and our technologies in the last decades, I understand where a lot of the things that Spectrum is talking about is coming from, and all the wonderful things that the access is able to do. I am a little concerned when they talk about how they have all this state-run materials and so forth. How much of it is actually Maui relevant? How much of it happens on Oahu? How much of it happens on Honolulu? This is the state of Hawaii. Yes, most of the people live in Honolulu. Most of the people live on the island of Oahu. But go on the net and look for tech resources in Hawaii. There's lots of good stuff in Honolulu. There is extremely little here on our island or either any of the other remoter islands. This is the service that Akaku provides. I've taught classes there. I've held classes there, held workshops at Akaku. I've worked with them on the election services. Without Akaku, Maui doesn't get those services. We're deaf and blind, and nearly blind, running at standard definition, or what used to be standard definition. Now we have HD TV. High def is what is standard everywhere else, unless you're watching reruns of old shows. I want to encourage you to be more transparent about what you're doing here, what the INET is, what the monies will be going to, and to continue to support Akaku and the other community access stations on our islands, and not just do for Oahu. Thank you.
Kristen Tracy. Kristen Tracy.
Aloha, my name is Kristen Tracy, known as Kat, and I am voicing my concern over today's hearing on its impact for Maui County residents, including myself. I attended the 2013 franchise renewal for Maui County when the holder was Oceanic Time Warner. There were scores of testimony and people saying that they had concerns over that agreement then, and today we are here 11 years later with no new agreement to comment on. I expect that all the testimony given then stands today, although today we cannot know what the details of the spectrum renewal will entail in the end. In November, there was a bait and switch that happened in Kauai during their franchise renewal. The DCCA was complicit and the agreement non-transparent. It included the raid on public access funds for Hawike, without any community input on what the final terms of that agreement were. It also included an exorbitant $12,000 setup fee for Spectrum to pass through an already delivered high-definition video signal that to Kauai's community channels. The commandeered fees are supposedly for maintenance of a quote-unquote institutional network of which no audit exists as to who is currently on the network or what the actual maintenance costs are. This is all aside of the fact that it is questionable whether the network is even cable related, except that the cable company provides that said network, which I believe is fiber, not cable. The fees for such a network seems best paid for by the state and counties, not Cable Act franchise fees. I have to ponder where the statewide 1% that the DCCA receives of the total 5% collected goes. What accounting is there to the public of those funds over the past 20 plus years? Perhaps that 1% should be allocated from the DCCA for the network they feel needs to be supported. I also wonder why PBS Hawaii an institution funded by the Corporation of Public Broadcasting, is allocated 1% of the cable franchise fees when they are not a cable channel, but a broadcast channel. What that additional 1%, along with DCCA's 1%, possibly be adequate for said network? Why should the community access centers bear the brunt of the DCCA's kowtowing to Spectrum? Consumer protection come into play. It appears that Spectrum calls the shots, both within the terms of this agreement and throughout the politics of Hawaii. Maui Community Television is a staple to our tri-island communities, providing essential information and providing free or low-cost access to tools and training that help empower our residents' voice. Many professionals have had their start at Akaku, and their internships have provided work development to Maui County youth with paying jobs. With a sudden reduction in funds, what information or services will be sacrificed? Everywhere, Hawaii residents feel the burden of inflation. Businesses, both profit and nonprofit, are feeling the current cost of doing business skyrocket. Residents struggle to meet the high cost of living. I have heard the state and the county tout over and over again that we need high-tech jobs and to keep local residents from leaving their island homes for better pay. What burden is the DCCA adding to this? Do Akaku employees with technical skills not deserve to be gainfully employed? Will Akaku have to lose employees? Will they cease to provide free services? Will they have to charge more for their low-cost services, forcing agencies and government to bear the brunt of their funding losses to get critical information out? Was anyone thinking about the ramifications of what this will mean? I am curious as to who did or possibly did not do this thinking. Like the non-transparent agreement with lack of clarity to the public, will we be told who is behind this? I have commented in past public hearings entertained by the DCCA Cable Division that it appears impotent in making any real provisions for the public in their franchise agreements. I challenge you to postpone this renewal until an updated agreement with clear terms is released for public comment, and that all necessary ascertainments are conducted, and that said agreement demonstrates educated thought and consideration for residents and their needs, including local public information reflecting their communities, is updated with current technologies like high-definition television. If the DCCA needs consulting on current standards to make an informed and educated appraisal, they should take the time to do so. Lastly, any agreement should include the protection of the full 3% cable franchise fees sustained through the duration of the contract period. It should also require no cost for high-definition video signal distribution for the community channels. Aloha.
Speaker is Austin Lukaku.
Hello, how's it? Hello, my name is Austin Hutto, and I'm the media specialist at Akaku, Maui Community Television. And so I'm in the video production industry, and I got my start right at Akaku. And as long as I could remember, I've always been interested in filmmaking and video production, sound, music is like entertainment is just a part of who I am. So the main thing growing up was I never had access to any video cameras or anything. So in high school, I signed up for Akaku's Y-Beam program. It's the Youth Broadband Education and Awareness mentoring program. And so this kind of was the precursor of me getting into mobile journalism and filming on iPhones. And so I basically started developing these skills for short format videos. and I learned my phone to use as a camera, and this was back in like 2015, so right when the iPhones were starting to get pretty decent at videos. And so also part of that was the mobile journalism component and like asking questions: who, what, when, where, and why. What makes a video engaging, and like the questions engaging, and then also getting the content to cover that interview and make the story make sense. So you're not just be like, Austin Hutto, and they're like, what is that? My name is Austin Hutto. Or it's like, Maui College. Well, where are we? We are at the Maui College. So it's just like certain things about making videos. That's what we started to do at first. So I learned about media literacy and broadband with the internet connections, with phones and computers and stuff like that. And I slowly started developing skills with my phone and then also on video software. Akaku is very well known for their Final Cut Pro classes, so I eventually started getting into Final Cut Pro, and then I also moved into doing their studio production class and also simulcasting to radio. So we were able to use the facilities and play with the cameras and play with the TriCaster switcher, like one over here, and switching the program live to air. It's like anything could happen, you know. So it's like that was really exciting as a little kid, you know, going in there. So I got to interact with other people in these programs, and it was just like a very, very wonderful thing, like meeting all the different people and different interns or people taking classes, because you got people that have the similar interests as you, and I've slowly started going towards the production route. And so from there, all those skills that I got when we were doing a weekly youth show kind of paved the way for basically my employment now as in production, because I do audio, video, camera op, switching, sound. I learned all of those skills from Akaku, and so I have like a great deal of gratitude for Akaku for that, because that is like my life and how I've gotten production jobs both at Akaku and in other parts of Maui County and around Hawaii. So I went to college, majored in cinematography at Colorado Film School, and then I came back and started working as an outside contractor for Akaku. So I just wanted to basically share that the facilities at Akaku were responsible for my interest in documentary filming, basically which started as mobile journalism, which is basically small little documentaries. So video production and filmmaking, those are all skills that basically I learned from their help. So the studio and media labs provide skills and experience that other people that are here today have also helped them with making their productions as well. And so I just want to express how valuable the classes and training is for the community. Akaku is more than just a cable access channel, or channels, 3 channels. It's a community hub for education and production. Whether video broadcast or mobile devices, the community has an access center for community production. It's unique because the content created there goes to the channels. It's not filtered. It's saying, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. So whether it's video broadcast or whatever, it's unique because the content created there stays there. The community's true voice and chance to engage in local politics, music, and other whatever stories you want to produce. They produce the content that they want to see. That's, for me, the most important thing. The community engagement shapes the channels, and without the funding for the different programs, we don't get that connection to the community. I stand here today because I want to see the community continue to have access to these facilities, just as I did, and all the programs. And I also would just like to see our cable channels be equal in quality across all the platforms. Just like Dreaming Bear said earlier, as long as I can remember, we have been filming and editing in high definition 1080p video, but our channels have remained in standard definition, which is about 480p, which is just about half of HD. And Hawaii Telecom is now broadcasting up in HD for free, while Spectrum wants to charge us for it. So I feel this type of access should be free, as any other service is in HD. So why should we be any different? Thank you all for your time.
Oh, you can take it back. You can stay there, sir.
Aloha. Thank you for being here today on behalf of DCCA to hear this wonderful testimony, and I hope that all the other members of the DCCA, including the head of the DCCA, watch this film and the public testimony, because I think that'll really help you make the right decision. My name is DeGray Vanderbilt. I've spent more than half of my 83 years on Molokai, and just recently, a few years ago, moved to Maui to be with my partner, because we're getting a little bit older, and that's why I wanted to stand up to make sure I wasn't getting older. But anyway, one individual I've always had great admiration for is Congressman and legendary civil rights leader John Lewis, who spoke these simple but very poignant words. When you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, you have to speak up. You have to say something. You have to do something. Well, something seems clearly not right with this process that has brought us here today, and it appears the objective is to compromise the ability of the public access stations throughout our state to operate effectively, even to the point where the people of Hawaii may lose their only public access platform where they are able to truly express their right of free speech. And one of the things that I heard today that obviously isn't right, Spectrum has 375 channels. Akaku takes in 1% of that with 3 channels. That is clearly not right. So I was going to I'm not going to get into the technicalities and all of that, but I did want to read 2 documents. One is our state's unique Aloha Spirit Law, and the other is some wise words on the crosswords of where our state is today. On Molokai, we had a meeting, and a federal representative of one of the agencies was speaking, and he said, you know, Hawaii is unique, and what works in Kansas and Oklahoma doesn't necessarily work in Hawaii. And one of the really unique things in Hawaii is the Aloha Spirit Law. It's Chapter 5 of the Hawaii Revised Statutes. And I just want to read a part of that. Section 5.75 says, Aloha Spirit is the coordination of mind and heart within each person. It brings each person to the self. Each person must think and emote good feelings to others. And then it goes on to say the purpose of the Aloha Spirit Law. In exercising their power on behalf of the people and in fulfillment of their responsibilities, obligations, services to the people, the legislature, governor, lieutenant governor, executive officers of each department, including DCCA, the Chief Justice, Associate Justices, judges of the appellate, circuit, and district courts may contemplate and reside with life force and give consideration to the aloha spirit. That is just a wonderful law, and this is something that really needs to be applied more often. Now, I'd like to just read a couple of words about the crosswords of where we are. The preamble to the Hawaii Constitution holds that we reserve the right to control our destiny, to nurture integrity of our people and culture, and preserve the quality of life that we deserve. It is not only our right, but our kuleana, our responsibility to take action, to control our destiny and preserve our quality of life. We face enormous challenges, and the strain of these challenges is slowly eroding the hopes and dreams of our people. Hawaii's people deserve ambitious goals, big dreams, and bold action. The less force label us dreamers for expressing what we may have regarded as overly grandiose thoughts, but dream we must, and we must pursue these dreams with vigor and energy if we are to obtain the greatness that is so patently the destiny of Hawaii and its people. Hawaii's destiny is greatness, a greatness born of our shared values, a greatness of family, community, and love, of rich diversity, tolerance, and unity, of commitment, responsibility, and hope, of reverence for our natural and cultural heritage and our shared history. We are the inheritors of this dream and this destiny. Together, we will fulfill our destiny. Together, we will realize our dreams. Together, we will live up to the promise of Hawaii. Now, I know, Deputy Director, you weren't going to ask any questions, but are you familiar with those words, where they came from? Oh, okay. No questions. Is anybody here? Is anybody here recognize where these words came from? Well, they came from Governor Josh Green in his State of the State address in 2023. And I'm just wondering, have you all from DCCA, this isn't a question, this is just a thought. I'm wondering if the DCCA and Spectrum have gone over the real guts of this bill and what it's going to do to the people and Akaku and their public access. And I just hope, I hope you have, because Governor Green is somebody that really cares for the public, and I think he would be appalled. And I think if he sees some of these testimonies that are so powerful, he would say, enough of this. This is something that should stay the 3% and everything else, because Akaku is doing something that Spectrum cannot do. So thank you very much.
Okay, at this time I'll call up the esteemed senator from Maui, Senator McKelvey.
I should have just sat at the table, would have been easier. Stand up guy. Yellow? Oh, how's this?
Yep.
That work good? I'm kind of tall too. Okay, aloha. Thank you for allowing me to jump in ahead of everybody to testify, to stand in support of what the community is saying. I'll keep my remarks brief. I will supply my own remarks later. I am here as an individual. However, given that the numerous emails and phone calls I got from my constituents of District 6, it's safe to say that I'm there on their behalf. A couple things. First off is I believe that what's being requested by Akaku for the Maui renewal is not a big ask at all. Not at all. especially when you look at the fact that it provides stability and continuity at a time where everything has been shredded and volatile right now, including the revenue base. Second thing is that HDTV, same thing. These are not big asks. Is this giving back to the community? Yes, it is. But I would argue that this kind of contribution is desperately needed because it provides for two things: true non-commercial content creation and access. The internet doesn't provide that anymore. YouTube, all of these, copyright, all of these providers inherently are commercially driven now. You don't get enough clicks or subscribes, you don't get enough views, you're not going to be able to create revenue to stay valid and get your message out. And what happens is people sensationalize and twist things. And after the fire, we had all of these content creators driven by commercials putting out so much misinformation, it was ridiculous. Akaku, on the other hand, strove to provide clear content and communication for the community. And because there's no need to be driven commercially by them. The access is to the community. And they teach through their classes journal ethics, which is lost today. They provide, you use this, there's responsibility. And so therefore we're helping to create an environment where media coverage and future content creators are operating responsibility now and not being driven by the untold riches. And then finally on that, you are held to corporate algorithms and standards on these platforms. You say something that is interpreted as a copyright infringement or perhaps offensive against the company, you're blocked. And your algorithms are driven down. So that is not true content. And finally, I want to talk about INET. INET, I believe, needs an audit anyway. But the thing is, the amount of money that INET needs should be funded by our broadband monies coming in, our federal monies coming in. The University of Hawaii is supposed to be pulling down grant money for INET. INET itself is a constrained platform. If you're on the county council having a hearing, you have INET access. If you're at the University of Hawaii taking classes, if you're creating content as a student, you have INET. But if you can't afford to go to college, if you're not part of the government, you're not able to access the INET infrastructure as freely as you would otherwise. I think INET's important, but we need to aggressively fund it for the streams of which are available, and I think there's a potential for partnerships with INET that we should perhaps explore. The amount of money that would be given to INET from Akaku is so piddly. It would probably fund like what, one repeater, maybe? So I would think that the money that we need for INET has to come from those other sources, preserve community access, and preserve a vehicle that's creating responsible journalism and decoupling the commercialization of the internet from content creation and access. So with that, I thank you, and hope you will take everybody's remarks seriously. Please tell the director, these people came out in the middle of the day to express their thoughts. What they're asking is not unreasonable. I hope the decision reflects the public testimony, because it is a loss of the public's confidence in government begins in meetings like this, where they feel their voice is kind of irrelevant because it's a done deal. So, but I know you guys will do that. And thank you, Dean, for being here. I appreciate you and your staff listening to everybody here, and aloha for your consideration. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take one more testifier and we'll take a quick break. Jay April.
I want to thank everybody for coming. Pretty impressive. It was hard to get up on a Monday morning. I'm a night guy, right? I like to sleep till 9. Today I had to get up at 7. I'm just amazed at the turnout. I figured, Monday morning, the DCCA really didn't tell anybody about this meeting. I found out on the website that it was happening. Probably a lot of you didn't even find out about it till the last minute. The DCCA historically, like the first time they had a hearing on this franchise renewal, I think it was 2014. They had 2013. They had hearings on Lanai. They had hearings on Molokai. They had hearings on the West Side. They had hearings in Wailuku, and they had hearings in Hana. This is the only hearing they're going to have. Why? I think Angus mentioned it to me. Is this a public meeting in name only? Or are you listening? The history of DCCA is when they let a franchise out, they make sure it's one size fits all. Every island gets the same rotten deal. Just go on the website, the DCCA website, and look what they just did to the island of Kauai. They took something called a retention fee, somewhere close to 1% of their money, to put into this mysterious INET, which we don't know anything about. They want to do the same thing here. They want to do the same thing on the Big Island. And they're not going to use a franchise renewal for Oahu because that already happened. But they're going to figure out another mechanism to do that there. I'm hoping that your turnout and your testimony will change that paradigm. Because this DCCA, these are good people. Dean's a good man. Nadine Ando, the director of DCCA, is a good woman. Randy Leong, the cable administrator, who should be here. He's the cable administrator. He's a good man, too. They're good people. They're doing what they're being told to do. Who's doing the talking? And it hasn't always been that way. In the beginning, about 35 years ago, Hawaii was looked upon as one of the most progressive states or local franchise jurisdictions in the country. Why? They created the public access paradigm in every county. It's actually, there's a statute, 440G, that sets this up. It's actually part of state law. That's great. That's terrific. Hawaii was good at preserving green space, and in the beginning it looked like it was going to be pretty good at preserving electronic space. Now, things have changed. 35 years ago, this all happened, and this isn't the first time Akaku's been in trouble. I'm sure some of you remember, right? It was 2005 or 6, I think it was. A developer didn't like something that he saw on Akaku. You know, some amateur photographer came in, made a video about destroying the beach. And he vowed to my predecessor, Sean McLaughlin, that when he got a chance, he would take Akaku out. When Sean said to him, well, you know, the answer to free speech is more speech. You can make your own programs to counter what you just saw. He said, I want you to take that stuff off the air, and if you don't, I'm going to, when I get you out. Well, he tried. Kalani English, remember Kalani? Yeah. Kalani at the time told me that the developer spent $500,000 to take Akaku out. He sponsored legislation that would split our funding in thirds. He influenced, I'll use the word influenced, members of our board of directors. You might remember the drama. There was a fist fight. Eventually, I hired the attorney, and we won the day. We got Akaku back. When I was hired to run the place, it was like the Titanic on the bottom of the ocean. We had to paint it, and then we had to raise it, and then we had to sail it. I think we've been doing pretty good. Yeah? So, it's come out of the ground maybe 7 years or 14 years or something. It's happening again. A new administration that doesn't have any of this institutional knowledge is now saying, well, we need to put money from Akaku, the little bit of money we get, and we need to put a significant portion of that into a... Does anyone here even know what this INET is? No. Now, it'd be one thing if this was sort of an isolated case, but this already happened on Kauai. They've already done this. They've taken money from Kauai for the next 15 years. It'll be over $1 million to put into some shadow INET. That's what they're doing. So I mentioned about the hearings. And this whole application that you may or may not have looked at, I must have got 6 or 7 calls this week saying, I can't find the application on the DCCA website? Well, because it was the application from 2013. They call it a Spectrum application. Spectrum wasn't even around in 2013. It was Oceanic Time Warner. Spectrum had nothing to do with the application that you're supposed to be commenting on today. So why are we even here? We're commenting on something that isn't even real. Because Spectrum never applied. They never put forth an application. We've never seen it. What happened on Kauai? There was a Spectrum application on Kauai. You can look at the website. You can read it. Did it say anything about retention of fees, retention of funds, INET? No, it did not. The application made no mention of that. So when the franchise came down on November 15th, everybody on Kauai was blindsided. They had no idea their money was being taken away. This is a violation of due process. We have due process in America. Before you are going to be, I'm going to use you screwed. Before you get screwed, you should have a piece of paper that tells you how, right? They don't supply that. So this process is deeply, deeply flawed. The fact that there's an application that doesn't include anything about what's really going to happen when they come across with this franchise. There's also something that they're required to do. It's called a community ascertainment study. Before you do something like this, you have to go out, do a study, do a survey, find out what the community wants. Did they do a community ascertainment study this time around? Nope. They didn't. The last time they did one was in 2013. So that's flawed. They need to do another one. In 2013, I think Kat Tracy mentioned it, there was a petition signed by 362 people, I believe, asking for a couple of things. HDTV a decade ago, right? And full funding for Akaku, still asking for the same thing. There were probably 64 or 65 testimonies submitted, written testimonies, and I don't even know how many oral. And those testimonies, except for one or two, were all in favor of the same thing. How many times do we have to get up, drag ourselves out to these hearings to ask for the same thing over and over and over again? I mean, I like Mr. Nava when he said, I don't want to come back to do this anymore. We shouldn't be having to do this. All we want is a little bit of money. Just leave us alone. That's all. So who's behind this decision? The director of DCCA reportedly told one of my colleagues, well, my hands are tied. There's nothing I can do about this. That's not true. She has enormous discretion as the director. The governor can make one phone call and make this go away. So what's the holdup? What's the problem? If it does happen, what do we lose? What do I do? Do I have to lay off my program director who had just had a baby? How many staff members are here? Could you stand up or raise your hand? Who do I let go? What program do I cut? Our daily news? Do I cut our daily news? Do I stop covering the recovery of Lahaina, which is going to take 10 years at least? By the way, we lost about $100,000 permanently, annually in Lahaina. All those legacy homes burnt. These are people who subscribe to cable. I asked DCCA, how many subscribers did we lose in the fire? Oh, we don't know. We're going to have to ask Spectrum. And that information is probably proprietary. I called Rebecca. Rebecca, how many subscribers did we lose in the fire? Oh, we can't tell you. We can't tell you. But you can reverse engineer the check we give you. And she gave me some little hints on how I could guess. I still don't know the number. Is it 1,000? Is it 1,500? So I don't even know how much money I won't have next year in January when the check comes. And I can't even file a lawsuit because I don't have the information that I need. They won't tell me. They say they don't know. Rebecca told a state rep the other day that she didn't know. They don't know how many people aren't paying their bills in Lahaina? Come on. Come on. So, and the other thing that really kills me is that you already have the money for your INET. You already have it. In 2000, 24 years, almost 25 years ago, the DCCA capped Alelo. Everyone know what Alelo is? Alelo is the access corporation for the island of Oahu. They get a lot of money. They're supposed to get 3% franchise fee. Since for 24 years now, almost 25 years, they've been getting 2.5% franchise fee. The extra 0.5% went to, guess what? Fund an INET. I want to know where that money went. I want to know who has it. I want to know who spent it. I doubt very much if it went to an INET. Sometimes the account was in Spectrum's hands, sometimes it was in the state's hands. So before you let any franchise for Maui, the DCCA has to do a bunch of things. They have to figure out where the money they already set aside for INET went. They have to audit the so-called INET, technically and financially, and a number of other things. But the bottom line is you already have the money. We're doing a good job on Maui. We just want status quo. We want the 3% we've always got. And this is the first DCCA in 35 years that's ever come after our money. And we're not going to let it stand. But thank you very much.
Okay, let's take a break and be back at 12:30. We'll restart the meeting at 12:30.